はい、皆様はじめまして。今日から朝の時間を使ってHoudiniの作業配信をしていきたいと思います。ちょっと初回の録画を盛大にミスったので、ちょっと改めて撮り直してます。基本この配信は学習用に始めたので、毎日淡々と続けていければなと思っているんですが、毎回お題を考えるのも面倒なので、基本は気になったチュートリアルを進めていければなと思っています。もし質問などあれば分かる範囲で答えますので、遠慮せずコメントください。それでは始めていきます。今日は、こちらのチュートリアルをやっていこうかなと思ってます。サイド FX のチュートリアルのところから、ちょっと気になったので選んでいました。中も結構流体から RDB とか、モデリングまで一通りやるようなので勉強になるかなと思います。はい、それではHoudiniを立ち上げていきます。よいしょ。バージョンは一つ前の 18.5 ですね。で、立ち上がるとこんな画面になるかと思うんですが、ここがHoudiniの作業エリアなんですが、最初このレイアウトがビルドというものが選ばれてまして、ここは自由に好きなレイアウトにカスタマイズできるので、使っていくうちに、自分が使いやすいレイアウトを見つけていくのもいいんじゃないかなと思います。で、今回ちょっとライセンスの方がインディの方を使っているんですが、基本はアプレンティスという無料版でも機能は若干制限されるもの、ほぼほぼ学習用には困ることはないので、無料ライセンスで十分かなと思います。はい。では、動画を見ていきましょう。最初はちょっとレッスンの概要があるので、一旦この動画をさらっと見ます。
Welcome to the Houdini Foundation Smashing Wine Glass tutorial, where you'll take a project from beginning to end and learn a little bit about Houdini along the way. This lesson will start with you drawing a profile curve that will be used to define the shape of the wine glass. You'll be taking that profile curve and revolving it, then subdividing to make it a little smoother. Once you've got the outer wine glass, you'll use that same geometry to define the inner fluid, which will be used in the simulation later. Next, you'll model the bullet. This will start with a primitive sphere that you then clip and extend. Once you've got the basic shape, you'll then clean up the ends to create better topology. Subdivide that, and now you have your bullet shape. It will then be moved up and over so it's targeted right at the wine glass. And then you'll be able to look from the side and begin to use these freehand lines to draw out where you want the fracturing to be on that surface. Those lines will then be extruded. You'll be able to move them into place. You can then take some of them and duplicate them, rotate them around, just to create a little more interest in the kinds of cracks that you're going to get out of the model. Once you have those, you'll take all of those sort of colliding surfaces and you'll agitate those using a mountain sop. So that'll give you a little bit of noise in there. Once you have that, you'll add a Boolean You'll use the shatter option, and then you can explode that to see what it's going to look like. Now back into the simulation world, you take those pieces and you run them through an RBD sim. You can then make certain objects active and certain objects passive. You can then add in the bullet to create the smash that you're looking for. Next, you'll go in and add the fluids. So this will take the shape that was modeled earlier, fill it with a fluid, which initially looks like these little dots. Run the simulation to get the interaction between the fluid and the shattered glass. And then once you have that, you can go in and surface that and get a sense of what the surface would be as a result of that. The next step is to cache and retime the simulation. This involves saving parts of it to disk. At this point, only doing 10 frames. And then having those 10 frames brought back in and then retimed using a special node that will allow us to extend it from 10 frames to 50 frames to give sort of a bullet time effect where it goes out and then sucks back in time. This same approach will be used for all three objects, the retiming. At the end, you'll take each one of them and export them as USD files. Those USD files will be used in the Solaris workspace, or LOPS, and that will allow you to bring them into USD and set up your cameras, and all of these elements will work together as you prepare and light the shot. You can use your camera to get exactly the shot that you're looking for, and there you go. You've got your simulation in that Solaris environment. Add in a environment light to get the look that you want, and then you can use the Karma render in the viewport to test out the look of the shot, and you can see as we move different frames that that's working. Once that's in place, the idea is to add in some materials, and there'll be glass, copper, and a wine material, and these will get assigned onto the surface, and that will give us the final look of the shot. To render out a sequence, you'll learn how to add in a Karma node, set that to render from the full 1 to 50, set up for disk, and render out. You'll also learn how to use the denoiser as part of that. Then you can load that back through mplay, and there we go. You've completed the project. So let's get started.
これはちょっと19にした方が良さそうだな。ちょっとフーディンを立ち上げ直します。下ってんな。よいしょ。はい。では、はい、形状を作るところからですね。はい。じゃあ、動画を再生します。
We're going to define the basic shape of the wine glass and the liquid that lies inside. To start, we're going to set a project to the directory that you downloaded from the website, the Fluids Lesson Directory. We're going to accept that as the project directory. And now when we go to save files, like let's save this starting file, they can go right in that directory, and you can keep a reference of everything as you work. Press accept. Now, the first thing we want to do is change our viewport layout. We're going to go to a 4-view layout, and then we're going to go over the front. View and viewport layout. We're going to go to a 4-view. The first thing, press accept. Now, the first thing we want to do is change our viewport layout. We're going to go to a 4-view layout, and then we're going to go over the front view and go spacebar B to bring that up. Once we have that, we can set up the background, and this can be an...
早いな。全然ショートカットが追いつかない。V で出して、レイアウトを出して、 で、4ビュー。
image, which we currently have set up in the directory from the project.
はいはいはい。そういうことか。で、これフロントビューか。フロントビューは、ここを選んで、スペース B。戻ると。はいはい。選んだところでスペース B ね。今回はフロントにして、あれか、下絵を用意する感じかな。一応、なんか、プロジェクトが、ここからダウンロードできるので、そこからダウンロードしてもらうと、このグラス用の下絵があるので、それを使うみたいですね。はい。テクスト。で、
project, and we accept that. Now, if you look at the path around, and this, once we have that, we can set up the back.
ディスプレイオプションから、バックグラウンドで、ここか。テクストで選びますと。
Background, and this can be an image which we currently have set up in the directory from the project, and we accept that. Now, if you look at the path, you'll notice that it's $home. It's literally going to my home directory. We actually would prefer this if it was local to this project. So if we use $hip instead, you'll see that we can go find the scene file, then go to the texture and accept it from here, and you'll notice that the path is smaller. $hip, the texture directory, that's a better way of keeping things packaged up. Now, the way we originally set that up, it's zooming with the change of the view. What we want is we want to place it with turn off auto place, and that will allow us to set this up in such a way that when we zoom in and out, the background will move with it in a way that allows us to trace on the grid, or the background will move with it. Allow us to set this up in such a way that when we zoom in and out, the background will move with it in a way that allows us to trace on the grid or on the
なるほど。わざわざでもこれで11にすると、そもそも拡大できないわけじゃないのか。作業しやすいって感じか。よし。
side profile here. We're going to draw a curve. To do that, we're going to get the curve tool up here on the shelf. Now, this tool will allow us to go draw points from point A to point B. We're going to use grid. Grid snap to get the first two, and then we're going to go a little more freehand to get the other ones. Now this curve is a polyline, so it's points and primitives, and this will allow us to get a nice polygonal model when we revolve it later. Now we can place these points down as we go. If we don't quite like what we want, you can undo to go back and redo a point, or you can go back and fix them later. But we're going to should be pretty good. It's fairly simple to trace this. Now, if we can also zoom in with the space bar, and that will allow us to zoom in while we're in the process of drawing. And then we can use grid snap for the last 3 or 4 points, and that will allow us to get what we're looking for. Press enter to finish the curve.
一回止めよう。ちょっとこの点をやばい。線が切れた。これはどうするんだ。こうか。これ動かすときどうするんだ。スペースを押しながらか。はいはい。スペースを押しながらね。ブレンダー触ってる気分だな。これはなかなか。よいしょ。ゴール。で、
to 3 or 4 points, and that will allow us to get what we're looking for. Press enter
これでエンターをして終わり。オッケーオッケー。
to finish the curve. Now we want to go back to the 3D view, so we're going to go spacebar B and then spacebar B with our cursor over the 3D view to get back into it. Now we've got that 3D curve. We're going to use the C key to bring up the radial menu. We're going to go and get the revolve tool. And there we have our revolve 3D shape, the view into it. Now we've got that 3D curve. We're going to use the C key to bring up the radial menu. We're going to go and get the revolve tool. And there we have our revolve 3D shape. The radial menu, we're going to go and get the revolve tool.
リボルブか。これリボルブで一発でいけるのか。ポリゴンで。違う。ドリタイ。カーブで。リボルブ。選ぶのか。どうすんのこれ。リボルブにするとして何を選べばいいんだこれは。使い方しねえから。ホールド A、コントロール A、シフト A。これ選んでコントロール H。何これ。セレクト、エンターか。コントロール A をしながらエンターってことでいいの。なんだこれ。ちょっとこれは
menu, we're going to go and get the revolve tool. And there we have our revolve 3D shape.
選んでるだけだな。なんでできねえの。あ、来た来た来た。うん。ふう。
Now to define this a little bit further, we're going to want to subdivide it, but before we do, we're going to double click, shift double click, and then press the shift
この使い方しんどいな。
key and double
勝手が分かんなすぎてやばい。こっちだよ。ちょっと待って。マジで分からん。
Now to define this a little bit further, we're going to want to subdivide it.
これをエッジに変えればいいのか。なんか微妙に形状がおかしいんだが。これリボルブの形状違うような気がするんだ。セレクトできねえな。どういうことだ。
But before we do, we're going to double click, shift double
これはマジでわからん。全然選べないんだ。そもそもこれリボルブしくってんのか。ダブルクリックしても全然選択されねえ。なんだろう。全くもってわからん。これで選べた。ああ、こうか。これで中もシフトダブルクリック。場所が違うな。こうか。なんか選ばれてるとこ全然関係ないとこなんだよな。これ何なんだろう。明らかに面がおかしいな。どういうことだこれは。なんでこっちセレクトできねえんだろう。 てはいるんだけど。
Double click, and then press the shift key and double click two more edges here and here. Double click. And we're going to take these particular edges and we're going to go tab and then crease. Start typing crease. Press enter, and we're going to crease those edges. So that means when we subdivide, those edges will stay relatively sharp. Now if we went up to 10, they'd be completely
リフォルムの仕方ミスったな、これ。検証が出てねえもん。中を選びたいんだ。こうか。一応一致選択はできたか。
sharp. Tab and then crease. Start typing crease. Press enter, and we're going to crease those edges. We're going to take these particular edges and we're going to go tab and then crease. Start typing crease. Press enter, and we're going to crease those edges. So that means when we subdivide, those edges will stay relatively sharp. Now if we went up to 10, they'd be completely sharp. But we want a little bit of roundness to them, but not as much smoothing as we're going to do with the rest of the wine glass. I'm going to select all the geometry, and then just
選ばれたのか。で、プリミティブか。
we can go tab, subdivide, and then set that to a depth of 2. Go tab, subdivide, and then just we can go tab, subdivide, and then set that to a depth of 2. And there we go. That'll give us our wine glass. And you notice
セレクトされてないってどういうこと？なんで？で、3割マイナかけて、変わってないぞ。リフォルムの時点でうまくいってねえ気がするな、これは。 サブディバイドはかかんねえな。なんで
wine glass. I'm going to select all the geometry and then just
やべえな、ショートカットの使いっぷりがえぐいな、マジ。スムーズセレクト、やっぱセレクトできてねえな。なんだろうな。
we can go tab, subdivide, and then set that to a depth of 2. And there we go. That'll give us our wine glass. And you notice that top edge.
やばい、これはちょっとだいぶ、これはちょっとだいぶ下りそうだな。まずいね。ちょっとダメだこれ。だいぶぐだれそうな気がするから、一旦配信止めた方がいいな。ちょっとこれは仕切り直しだな。ちょっとぐだりすぎだ。なんだろうこれ。ひどいな、ちょっと。ちょっと一旦止めて、また次回やります。だいぶぐだってしまいました。すいません。